Today we're going to look at the classic family game Connect4. This is the first of a series of 4 short videos taking you from beginner through to expert at the game. Connect4 is the family favourite game, often brought out at Christmas, often bought for Christmas. It allows players between 6 and 106 to play. It's eminently replayable. I think this is probably the 2-player game that I have played the most games of. Each game is very short. The box says 10 minutes, and in reality the vast majority of games are much shorter than that. It's often dismissed as a lightweight game, and it is certainly true that each player only has a choice of 7 things to do at maximum in his turn. But if you've looked at this game and you believe that going first means that you're more likely to win, then you should really look at the 3rd video in this series, and if you want to, you can skip videos 1 and 2. But the purpose of this video, video 1, is to take a beginner in the game through to being a medium player. In order to become a medium level player, you have to understand a few basics of the game. The rules of the game say that the winner is the first person to create a line of counters of at least 4 in length in their own colour. Because each player takes turns, that means one player has a chance to do that before the other, and that player is the winner, the other player is the loser. It is possible, and as you get better it becomes more common, for the game to go to a draw where no player can actually complete a line of 4. The line of 4 can be a horizontal line, such as this one here. We see the horizontal line 1, 2, 3, 4 for yellow. It can be a vertical line, a column of 4, and we see there a line of 4. It can also be a diagonal line. This is the yellow's diagonal line coming in now, and that is a line of 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 2 concepts that the beginner player has to get to grips with in order to become a better player are the push, or the forced move. This is a move that your opponent has to make in order to stop you from winning, and the either or move. First of all, let us look at the push, or the forced move. In each of these demonstrations, yellow will be the player who goes first and red will go second. There is no reason for that. In the game, you normally have a colour associated with the player, and the players can take turns to go first and second. But for these purposes, we'll always keep with the convention of the player who's going first being yellow, the player going second being red. Also, each of the 7 different columns are the places in which you can put a piece, and therefore, in order to make it easier to understand which column we are referring to, then we will number the columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 1 is the left hand column, 4 is the middle column, 7 is the right hand column. If we go through some early moves in a game, you can see examples of forced or pushed moves. So, starting for yellow and starting for red. Second for yellow, second for red, third one for yellow. This creates a push or a forced move. Red may be focusing entirely on column 1 and thinking, I can build a line of 4 here. But clearly red goes second. Red is behind yellow, and therefore yellow will make its row of 4, in this case the horizontal line of 4 down here, before red can complete its line of 4. So the forced or pushed move for red is to here. Forced or pushed moves tend to switch backwards and forwards between the players. So the red having gone there, yellow might decide to go here. There's no forced or push moves created by that, and therefore the red player might believe, now is my chance to complete the column in column 1. So he puts his third piece in, ready for a line of 4. The yellow player obviously has now got a push move. He has to put his piece in column 1 to prevent red from winning. The push is the basis of many winning strategies at all levels, and you'll see that the push used in the 4th video. But for beginners, there is another type of move that should be learned, which is the either or. Now if we continue this game, red has now got the initiative. Red goes next, and red likes the idea of building another column, this time in column 7, but yellow is thinking further ahead than that. So red starts its column and yellow begins to create an either or. Red continues with the column and we have a push. Yellow obviously has to place his piece in column 7 in here, because otherwise red will win regardless of what yellow does next. So yellow does this. Red now has a number of options. Let's assume he hasn't spotted the obvious option here, and he decides that he wants to block these 3s in yellow. This gives yellow the opportunity for the either or. Yellow places his piece in column 5, and you will see that red now, in order to stop a row of 4, red has to place his piece in column 2. But if he does that, then yellow will place his piece in column 6. So red would have to place his piece in column 6, in which case yellow has the option to place a piece in column 2. So let's see. Let's assume red spots the column 6 win, places it there. Yellow wins with a piece in column 2. This either or move gives rise to the Connect4 version of Fool's Mate in chess. And if we go back to the very beginning of the game, you can see how the first player in particular has a good chance of winning using the either or idea. So here we have the start of the game again, and yellow goes into column 3. Red replies with column 1. Yellow goes into column 5. Red thinks, let's build quick victory in column 1, but that leaves yellow with a move that creates an either or. If yellow goes into the middle in column 4, middle column, then he can't lose this game. Red can only put one piece in. He has to put a piece in either column 2, in here, or into column 6, into here. But he can't put a piece into both. Therefore red has lost the game. He could try to carry on with his own column in column 1, but he's gone second and the initiative is with yellow. So yellow is going to complete his row of 4 first, and red can't stop him at this point. Let's say red does put this into column 2, then yellow wins with a row of 4. You are more likely to find these opportunities when you're placing pieces in the middle columns. So in particular column 4 here, but also around column 4, 3 and 5, those pieces tend to give you the opportunity to place another piece, a winning piece, at either end of your row. And in these early games, up to beginners level, medium level, then you probably a good strategy is to dominate the middle of the columns, focusing on columns 3, 4 and 5, because this opens up your either or options, and the pushes tend to push your opponent out to the edges. Interestingly, the absolute beginner is quite random in where he places his pieces at the beginning of the game. He doesn't see any real advantage to being in any particular column, and it is as likely the absolute beginner will put a piece into the extreme ends, 1 or 7, as into the middle. Whereas a good beginner or a medium player will be focusing more on the middle. However, at higher levels, the very good players will avoid the middle, particularly row 4. And we'll come to that in the third video in this series. But the next video, video 2, is going to take you from being a medium level player, so somebody who can win against probably most opponents to some extent, through to an advanced level player, somebody who probably will be able to win 9 out of 10 games.